Hey everybody, my name is Kate and I'm here today on episode 4. And I'm going to start this episode explaining that the reason I'm doing this at my age is because it is so important and so serious, and everybody needs to know about it. People need to know the truth about our courts, every court, not just one here or there, and they need to know the truth about our attorneys and our banks and our insurance company owners and shareholders. These groups are co-conspirators in making huge fraud claims for insurance money to be paid out to themselves. I have figured all of this out due to the information that I'm putting here on my content here on this YouTube channel. Yes, this is a very serious matter. And I only figured it out because this insurance fraud was happening in the estate of my mother, Sally Severy Woodard, and in the estate of my ex-husband, Will Pace, with myself being victims to both estates at once. My story involves circumstances which are so rare, extreme, and very serious, and I do not want to botch this YouTube channel story up. But I'm going to do the best I can, but I really, like I've said before, I don't like even having my picture made, much less speaking on a video. So this is making me really ill at ease. However, I'm willing to do it because everyone needs to know about this insurance fraud going on in our courts, all of them. I have realized exactly why I have been emotionally, financially, and I'll get to this, how this happened, as well as physically abused by our court. And I have figured out why and how this is a federal government crime ring. Although I only realized this over the past 3 or 4 months, but what I realized over the past 3 or 4 months is my brother, Alan Woodard, is on the side of the court, the opposite side of me, because he's a fraudster. Okay? Same as our courts. They're fraud. There's fraud, committing fraud with insurance companies and banks. Yep. I have realized that Alan and my sister and aunt are co-conspirators in robbing my children's inheritance by being business associates with Todd Burwell and Richard Eisenberger, the estate attorneys for Will Pace and Jim Pace. They created numerous insurance fraud trust funds. I have found out that Alan and both my sisters and mom's sister, Tweety Savory Huff, are all beneficiaries of these insurance fraud trusts. By the way, Tweety, get me back the pearls. Alan, Todd Burwell, Barry Bridgeforth of Yazoo City, E. Barry Bridgeforth, and hundreds more attorneys and law firms create insurance fraud trust on incapacitated people who don't know any better and dead people who don't know any better, in order to receive multi-million-dollar payouts by committing title insurance and life insurance fraud with the assistance of bank presidents and shareholders and the assistance of insurance company presidents and shareholders. And these people are robbing the dead people's heirs, or incapacitated people's heirs, or robbing whoever necessary to enrich themselves. What I have come to realize is my brother and sisters and Aunt Tweety went after me and my land and robbed it. Since everything I want to share has happened over the past 3.5 years, I think what I'm going to do is just start telling what I have gone through in the order it occurred, okay? In my last episode, I talked about the summer of 2025 and how my sister said she had made this big error in our mom's 2024 tax returns, which made me sus right then. So I told Alan I wanted to see our mom's will because I had totally trusted him up until then. And immediately, when I did get it, saw the messed up notary stamp. They get so many fake notary stamps. This is horrible. Where the person's middle initial is G, but the stamp read C. And the whole testamentary was odd and wrong, and I knew it was fake automatically. The language was in there about a trust, about a successor trustees, business associates, and depreciation in mother's businesses. There was no business with associates aside from the 4 of us, and we aren't associates. nor was there a trust fund. I realized they had forged my mother's last will and testament and had created an insurance and land fraud trust on her, which my brother, sister, and Aunt Tweety Savory Huff excluded me as a beneficiary. My mother had no idea they were creating this land and insurance fraud trust or robbing her of her money, land, and her last wishes because she was incapacitated at that point. That's why they did it. They titled it the Sally Savory Woodard Family Trust, UA. Alan cut me out of Mom's fraud trust to not just rob my money and land, obviously he wanted that, but if he did not cut me from Mom's fraud and embezzlement trust, then I would have been able to see the names of all the Pace family members and their estate attorneys and handlers, Todd Burwell, Richard Eisenberger, Tom Pace, Marita Walton, and other Pace family members listed as beneficiaries to my mom's insurance fraud embezzlement trust, and I would have seen papers on the insurance fraud trust created in the Pace estates and all the beneficiaries to those trusts being my own family members. This is because they are all business associates in several fraud LLCs. We have hundreds and likely thousands of attorneys getting rich committing title insurance fraud with banks, their presidents, and with any insurance company paying out fake claims using the money of the customer's premiums to do it. We have attorneys and bankers who are buzzards. They coordinate all the jacked up and forged deeds of trust, and they literally jack up warranty deeds, quit claim deeds, special warranty deeds, any type of deed, and write a title opinion that says there's a problem with the title that they found, some delinquent taxes or something, and they file it all with court records, just like that fraud oil, gas, and mineral lease, which, by the way, I have attached that as a post on this channel, and I will be attaching, and I have attached other documents that I refer to in my video. So if you want to go look at what I'm talking about, I'm going to upload several screenshots as proof of these forged documents filed in public records in the Chancery Clerk's office, okay? In Yazoo County and Madison County. Those two offices are crime rings, okay? Attorneys and banks are robbing land and pledging it to these like-kind unitized land pools with the federal government overseeing this, just to say, just mosey down the street like it's no big deal, just waiting on their fraud checks, just whistling Dixie as they go. I will tell you how this all started and what happened and why I'm here today, really. Well, after 16 years of marriage and 4 children, Will and I got divorced in 2016. At that time, the children were all elementary aged and one was in the 7th grade. So, my divorce attorney included a blurb on life insurance in our decree. I never thought one thing about that blurb and almost nothing of our divorce decree. But when Will got sick in 2022 and his condition was incurable, he asked me to email him a copy of our divorce decree because his brother, Tom Pace, wanted to see it. At that point, I thought that was weird why Tom would want to see it. Little did I know, though, that Tom wanted to see what our divorce decree said about our life insurance policies to determine if he was going to swoop in and steal it from me or not. So Tom was already involved with the estate attorney Todd Burwell and attorney Rick Eisenberger because Will and Tom's father, Doc is what we called him, were fighting, because Will and Doc were fighting the other beneficiary to the Jim Pace estate over assets that were not clearly specified in Jim's last will and testament. Will's brother, Jim Pace, died in November of 2020, and his only beneficiaries were his girlfriend and Will, my ex-husband. So at this point, Will is sick and dying during all of these estate arguments and those hearings. So it was just, and Doc was elderly and not well really either. So Todd Burwell was up there supposedly taking care of everything, supposedly, for Will and the kids. But no. So this is just all way too crazy to make up, okay? This is all true stuff. So anyway, our divorce decree says that in the event Will or I were to die before the last child reaches the age of 21, then the surviving parent is a trustee over the deceased parent's life insurance policy. However, Tom and his team of attorneys, Todd Burwell and Richard Eisenberger, chose to forego this court order because they think they are God and they know they are shielded from liability from their court family. When you get a divorce, by the way, I don't think you need to spend any money arguing over custody, because by the time your child is 12, they will stay wherever they prefer. Anyway, unless you want to just keep going to the court and making your child mad at you, just forget it. So anyway, back to Tom, my ex-brother-in-law. As Will was on his deathbed, I kindly asked Tom what he knows about Will's life insurance money. Just real kindly, because Will was not going to be with us any longer, and I have all the kids and they're all the expenses. So obviously I needed to know. So, and per my divorce decree, and as the mother of the 4 children, I felt this question was to be expected. You know, Tom was the power of attorney and executor for Will, and I thought it would be no problem. I found out real quick it was a huge problem, although I had no idea why it was a problem. Obviously, the money was intended for this very reason. That's why it was in our divorce decree. So, Tom Pace, Todd Burwell, and Rick Eisenberger never had any intention of abiding by my divorce decree. This was the plan from well before Will even died. Figured this out. So, but this still, of course, it just shocked me so much. I didn't know that they had planned this well before Will died. I just figured it out. So I kept saying to them, you have to follow the court order, my divorce decree. But no, they have not had to follow my court order. They are allowed by the court to do absolutely whatever they want to do to me. So this is a contract they are breaching over the intercom in the Madison County, Mississippi Chancery Court and anywhere else. And the chancellor there is making announcements over the intercom that what they are doing is well taken and good, and that he approves. So how things unfolded in August of 2022, August 27th, so Will died on September 2nd. So on August 27th, I'll tell you what happened from then until about October the 12th on today's episode. So on August 27th, Will was experiencing severe cancer symptoms, while Tom, his wife Nancy Malpas, and the sister executrix for the other brother, Jim Pace, that sister is Marita Walton, they're all at Will's house buzzing around Will's deathbed. So that day, on the 27th of August, they brought in a hospital bed and they put Will in it. This is the date that Tom, the surgeon brother, the executor of the estate, put Will into a medically induced coma, where he let Will linger for several days and let my teenagers watch in absolute fear and horror. He didn't care. He didn't care. While Will was lingering, Tom kept insisting I bring mine and Will's 12-year-old daughter to view his corpse state body. Tom told me that if I did not bring her down to see Will, that her imagination over Will would give her nightmares. I didn't really know what he meant. But so on the next day, on August 28th, I took my 12-year-old to look at Will, which that was awful. This day is the first time I brought up to Tom feeling like something was not right, because Will had been terminal for a couple of months now. So I asked Tom, is there a reason for me not knowing, not being told anything about all the stuff that's up in the air going on in Jim's estate? I feel like nobody cares. I told Tom, I feel like nobody cares that I don't know the plan and that I don't need to know. Everybody's just acting like I don't exist, which is how I've been treated for the last 3.5 years. Like I don't exist, like I'm just, I need to be dead. So I kept asking him, can you help me understand? And what Tom said to that text, glad y'all came today. We are all taking this one day at a time. So on August 31st, although he had already taken action to rob it, I texted Tom that Will had a life insurance policy for $500,000. And I also inquired about his brother's estate, Jim's, and the property Will inherited from Jim Pace, which was between $2 and $3 million. Instead of even acknowledging my text, Tom responded that he will worry about my sanity if the boys live with me after Will dies, and that I am always in an argument with the boys 24/7. So with that, I'm shocked by this, and I respond that any alienation will not be okay. I don't know what he's talking about. We don't argue 24/7 at all. And I tell Tom that that remark is wrong and that this has upset me. So the day Will died was September the 2nd, 2022. So at 8:00, and Tom's there at his house. He's there with Will by themselves. So, and I'm at work. So at 8:05 a.m., I received a text from Tom that asked if it would be okay if he took the boys to the bank to help them get a savings account and a checking account to start managing their money more independently. He said, can he do that morning? So later that morning, I said, yes, you can. So later that morning at 11:28 a.m., I got another text from Tom, and he wrote, Will passed away. Okay if I pick up the boys from school? So that was stunning. That blunt message about Will being passed away was bizarre and weird and bad. So before this time, I had asked Tom to let me see Will's will, and he kept ignoring me. I mean, all I needed to know was what to expect. What was going to lie ahead for me, because I would not have any financial help anymore. So obviously I was trying to prepare. So I asked Tom to let me see Will's last will and testament, and he kept ignoring me. So on September the 7th, which was just 5 days after Will passed away, he texted me that he needs to meet with Todd Burwell to get the will, because he pretended like he has no idea, which is a big, huge lie. So I started telling Tom that I'm worried about what may be going on in Will's estate, and Tom replies, you're just going to have to be patient. I said, tell me what's going on. I said that back in the text. No, I'm not going to be patient. Tell me what's going on. I have the right to know. I'm the parent to his 4 children. I'm the mother. I'm the only one responsible for them. You aren't. So I asked Tom if he plans on talking to me about Will's estate and that I think something weird is going on. I told him that he is keeping something from me and that he is pretending not to know anything. I told him that on the 10th of September. I told Tom on that day, on the 10th of September, to get me Will's last will and testament right now, that I'm trying to support the kids and I deserve to know what to expect. Tom replies to me, the mother of Will's children, if you do not stop asking for Will's last will and testament, that I'm going to block you from my number. So, I mean, aren't you supposed to be a fiduciary? Aren't you supposed to be doing the exact opposite of what you're doing, Tom? You know you are. So I texted Tom's wife, Nancy Malpas, and I told her that I'm on edge about having to take all the financial responsibility on with no help. On top of that, not having any clue of what I can expect because Tom won't tell me. And that I need to know, I told her I need to know the details about Will's life insurance policy because I know he had one. I explained that I have 0 reimbursements now. Obviously, Will's dead. And I thought, I know that the life insurance money is not in probate. So, on September 23rd, I texted Tom that I just saw Will's last will and testament because I had gone up to the court records to get it, and how upset I am over having no say in anything about my own children, which he had no right to do. I mean, first of all, I'll tell you about the last will and testament is also fake and forged. This is horrible. This is all horrible. I told him that I was extremely distraught, but at that point I didn't know anything was forged. I want to make sure you understand that. I didn't realize that Will's last will and testament was fake or forged for a year and, 15 to 18 months later. I'll explain that when I get to it. But I told Tom that I'm extremely distraught, but I knew he and Marita, the executrix for Jim's estate, their brother, had control because I was kept out with full force. I also asked Tom what his knowledge is about the life insurance money. Once again, where is it? What's going on? And I said, I'm the trustee per a court order. So Tom just ignores it. No reply. Crickets. So on September 30th, Tom texted me saying that Todd Burwell had called and told him that Will had listed him as the trustee of a trust that Will had set up for the children's education and health care needs, which is funded from a life insurance policy, and that he wanted to share that good news with me. Okay, my response was, thank you for telling me. I guess I have some questions about this because I'm supposed to be the trustee of that money. Tom replied, it will all work out fine. So on October the 1st, I received an email from Tom telling me that I can help my children. He's telling me I can help my children. You're allowed to help your children. You can do that. You can help them develop healthy financial habits. I'm going to let you do that. And you can help them learn to be accountable with money. He's going to let me do that. He tells me that I can be added to the boys' bank accounts. He's going to let me be on their bank accounts. And that with good guidance, the boys have the opportunity to learn good financial behavior in moving funds between their savings account and their checking accounts, and to learn accountability for their spending choices. He's going to let me be involved in helping them do that. Tom was going to let me do that. Tom tells me that he will be allocating funds straight to the children, straight to minors. Yeah. Even though I said, no, you're not. What? And not to me, to help them with their everyday support. So as I'm reading all this, it's just baffling. Like, what? I replied to Tom telling him that this upsets me and that I do not need to ask his permission for anything about my children's best interest or what is and what is not permissible to spend money on. I said, I do not need you managing me and that this is absurd. Lastly, I told him I am the legal trustee of this money anyway. I also tell Tom that I do not want to get a lawyer, but he may force me to hire one to represent me over this. So on October the 7th of 2022, I hired Mr. Cody Gibson to represent me regarding this breach of contract. You can see a letter Cody wrote on my behalf in my post. So on October the 11th, I texted Tom that he really cannot go any lower, that he is a pompous hole, and that he can't talk to my kids about this life insurance situation. So he just replied, okay. Then I texted him, again, I am the trustee per my divorce decree. That's a court order, that he may not go and modify that order, that I'm filing a claim against him soon. I tell him he is cruel, and that I cannot believe what he is doing to me. Tom responded, we should communicate about these matters through the respective attorneys, Kate. I said, that's the plan, Tom, and he did a thumbs up. Now, all of this, obviously, is before I realized that I am not allowed any relief from the court. Remember, I don't get relief. I'm not going to be able to get relief because our courts are on the side of insurance fraud. Our courts are on the side of insurance fraud. And the estate attorneys are working with Bank Plus and Trustmark National Bank and Old Republic National Title Insurance Company presidents and shareholders, and they're preparing huge fraud claim payouts to themselves and into their insurance fraud trust. So, like my grandmother used to say, this may be hard to believe, but 'tis true. So, this is the beginning of my story. So, you can please ask me any questions that you have, because I want to clear anything up that I may have left out and left people confused about, because I know it is confusing. So I'm here today telling the public about the United States government's involvement in insurance fraud. Again, I am here today because I have to tell the public about our United States government's involvement in participation and approval and facilitation of insurance fraud, okay? They're getting rich from it. These people are, these lawyers are, these bankers are, because we're paying these premiums and not using them, and they're putting all of our premium money in a pot and dishing it all out in shares to themselves. So they're the shareholders of these fraud trusts. Anyway, hope everybody has a good weekend, and I'll probably be back Monday. Bye.